You miss where women were forced to stay, no matter how bad it got. That's why y'all work overtime to convince women that the past was better. Because y'all know that if grandma had the rights and the resources that women have today, she would have left grandpa's butt too. Before you run to the comments saying women today don't want to be wives, ask yourself, would you want your mother and grandmother to go through the exact same marriage she had all over again?
Would you want your daughter to be influenced, truly influenced by the image and likeness of a Megan Thee Stallion, a Cardi B, a Glorilla, or a Sexy Red?
Oh, God.
All right, we got yet another content creator on the complete opposite side of the internet from which I exist. Now, I like to call these content creators those that exist in the simple verse. Now, what is it that I mean by that? These are generally male content creators, usually in a four-door sedan only, speaking to groups of women with the similar tropes of men ain't shit, he should be putting you up on a pedestal, you better leave him if he says X, Y, Z, A, B, C, you's a queen and deserve to be treated as such, irrespective of their current modern day ass behavior. It's the next grift. They go usually from the pulpit to the four-door sedan, where they command that you understand the things that they are saying, even though the shit that they are saying doesn't make any goddamn sense when you cross-reference it to the reality that is happening in modern ass times today. Same tried and true method, same grift, just a different face and a different interior of their car. We've seen them time and time again, from the Derek Jacksons to the Ace metaphors. You find out more things about their life after they've amassed an audience of lemming ass, modern ass women, and then they find out something interesting about their background. Anyway, we're not at the point of finding out something interesting about the background. The brother uploads content and we must get active on it. Now, in similar fashions to those that have done it before him, he talks very, very fast. So I need to have you watch the content first. Let's watch it, all right? Don't try to claw your eyes out, all right? It's gonna end soon, but let's watch the whole thing. And then I'm gonna rewatch it again, and then I'm going to commentate over it. But I want you guys to understand what he's doing first, and then we'll get back active on it. So without further ado, by the way, for any budding content creator out there that's trying to figure out what type of niche that they can get into in order to maximize revenue, if you pick the niche of relationships and then also lying to women, that's got to be the easiest path to success, the easiest path to a lot of revenue. Women often are way more emotional, less competitive when deciding to make purchasing decisions. So typically when you talk to men, you face a lot more objections than when you talk to women. And then also you could just create some delusional, cloudy ass bullshit, motivational speech ass bullshit, and they're way more likely to believe what it is that you're saying and thus buy into you, buy into your service, buy into your product. Mainstream media has known about this for decades, and now decentralized media, they're beginning to pick up on this as well. So I introduce you to grift.
Y'all keep screaming women back then were better, but let's be real. Men back then were just better at getting away with their bull. I'm Jacob Riante, I'm a dating coach, and ladies, it don't matter if the men don't get it. This message is for you. Let's go deeper. Y'all think women back in the day were happier? They weren't happier. They were just silenced. A lot of grandmothers weren't in love. They were in survival mode. They smiled through the pain, played their role, and died with secrets so dark they took them to the grave. Meanwhile, grandpa got to live his life how he wanted. Cheat when he wanted, come home when he wanted, and still got called the head of the household. You ever ask yourself why so many old school marriages lasted 40 to 50 years, but grandma never looked happy? Y'all think that's because marriage was better back then? Nah, it's because back then leaving a man wasn't an option. Women didn't stay because they wanted to. They stayed because they were trapped. Couldn't open a bank account, couldn't buy a credit card, couldn't get a house, couldn't leave without being blackballed by the church, family, or society. And let's talk about these so-called good men y'all love to bring up. The ones who took care of the household. The ones who paid the bills. You mean the same men who had entire secret families, the same men who left their wives at home while they ran the street, the same men who made sure their name was on every single asset. So if she left with nothing. That's what y'all want a woman to go back to? Y'all keep screaming about modern women who don't submit like that's the problem. Nah, the real issue is that modern women finally have the power to say no. And that scares y'all to death. Y'all don't want wives, y'all want hostages. Y'all don't want love, y'all want an audience. Y'all don't want partners. Y'all want prisoners. That's why y'all are panicking now. That's why y'all crying on the internet every day about how women don't need men anymore. Nah, it ain't that women don't need men. It's that they don't need to suffer just to have one. And that's the part y'all can't handle. So let's call it what it really is. Y'all don't miss traditional women. You miss unchecked male privilege. You miss a time when a man could cheat, lie, and abandon their family with zero consequences. You miss where women were forced to stay no matter how bad it got. That's why y'all work overtime to convince women that the past was better. Because y'all know that if grandma had the rights and the resources that women have today, she would have left grandpa's butt too. Before you run to the
Okay. Let me just pause on the track right here. He's going to be saying more, and I'll go over to more. But you guys are getting the idea. Let me go back to the beginning. Now, before I say the things that I'm about to say, do understand that this is just from a content creator's perspective, because deep down, I'm like, damn, I'm kind of hating on the brother's hustle a little bit. He's just out here making money. He's trying to support his family. So it's nothing personal whatsoever. He's just speaking about the things that I speak about from an opposite perspective. It's going to make for good content. And I think that people deserve the truth. They deserve a degree of balance within the truth so that when they have the truth, they can make the best decisions with the truth that they have. If people are making decisions off of a reality that doesn't exist or a history that's been skewed to impact their biases, then how could they make the best decisions going forward? All right? You can't make good decisions based off of lies, baby. Nevertheless, let's get active.
Y'all keep screaming, women back then were better, but let's be real. Men back then were just better at getting away with their bull. I'm Jacob Riante, I'm a dating coach, and ladies, it don't matter if the men don't get it. This message is for you.
Yeah, it don't matter if the men don't get it. You know what? All of those men, and just leave the room. Just get out of here. All of the ladies, come around here and bring your wallets with you. Come over here. Let me just tell a message on to you. Let's get the men up out the room because they might have opinions on things, right? But F their opinions. They're the ones that get up on bended knee, but F their opinions. We don't need them. Let me teach you the bullshit. Let's keep going.
Let's go deeper. Y'all think women back in the day were happier? They weren't happier. They were just silenced.
It's not about that they were happier back in the day. My argument, and most of the men's argument, is that the typical standard issue modern woman today is less fit for long-term relationship, if not marriage, today than their predecessors. Why is it that I say that? Well, there's a bunch of different reasons. Some of those come from just a changing of the times and a changing of culture. For example, today, in modern times today, there's a hoe culture. There's a slut culture. There is a, how can I be as debaucherous as what I want to be? And it seems as though, especially within the Black community, that it's harbored. There's a sense of community in this being a nasty slut 304 licking, flipping, sticking, as is what is represented. If you go watch the Bad Girls Clubs up on the Netflix, whoever the hell did they play that show, or to our media personalities or our music personalities. The difference, the majority of all other cultures, is that they typically shun this slut ass, hoe ass. I can see your areolas up on your Instagram ass. I can't bring these women home. I can't bring a 304 home. With tattoos all up and down her shit, got tattoos all over her neck, her eyelashes. There used to be a time period within life where you can go upon a street corner, take a look at that corner and say, that's a hoe right there. There she is. She's selling box. What's interesting is that the outfit that she would have on that street corner is not as bad as the outfits as what you see on the standard issue modern woman's profile as it exists today, where you can see the goddamn areolas and shit like that. It's not... They worse dressed today than the way that the hookers on the street would dress out in public yesterday. So, and that's just the whole culture. Back in the day, they didn't have access to birth control, so they were a lot more responsible with their womb than what they are today. But even forget having children today, but just their cervix in general. Now, because of the 30 plus forms of contraception, along with that magical A word that 1 in 3 women throughout their lifetime will utilize. Now you're expecting me to sign up for high-ass body counts, used-ass swoon. It just don't make no damn sense. Now, when I was in my 20s and I was over here trying to go up inside as many viscous inners as what I possibly can, I absolutely love the culture, baby. But as an older man and a man one day that may have a daughter, I don't like that culture. So I speak up out against it. So you may say, happier and paint this picture that men ain't shit and they cheating on all their goddamn wives and shit like that. But I'm just giving you the counterculture to that. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just continue to go back in and listen to the young Griff.
A lot of grandmothers weren't in love. They were in survival mode. They smiled through the pain, played their role, and died with secrets so dark they took them to the grave. Meanwhile, Grandpa got to live his life how he wanted.
Dangerous.
Cheat when he wanted, come home when he wanted, and still got called the head of the household.
Yeah. So again, men all leave the room. Let's just say these things about men. You know what this is called? This is a terminology called as revisionist history. Now, the things that he's saying, mama was at home, she played her role, daddy went out and cheated, still got called head of the household. Did that happen in some households? Absolutely. It was a subset. It was a vast minority. But grifters like this will paint this picture that not only the man was stepping out more often than not within the household, but then also she was back at home with her eye hanging out her socket, walking around because he was also an abuser as well. They will paint these stories. They will paint these pictures and they'll treat them like facts. But the facts are based off of the goddamn Lifetime shows that they were watching or the goddamn Netflix documentary or some romance novels. I mean, even the shit that he's saying that he was still the man of the household. Whatever happened to Big Mama's house? There's not a Big Papa's house. The phrase is Big Mama's house. More often than not, the women were the head of the households, not the fathers. But of course, let's just introduce the reason that these women got married and they stayed up in it because they had no other choices. They had nowhere else to go while daddy was out doing his goddamn thug thizzle up in the streets. No, it's not a story that he was taking care of his business, working 40 to 60 hours per week so he can provide for a family. He would come back in the house. They would have a tough marriage. There'd be highs, there'd be lows, there'd be ups, there'd be downs, there'd be things. There might be secrets here and there. See, that would introduce balance into your conversation, but balance doesn't help your pocket. So I understand you, my guy.
You ever ask yourself why so many old school marriages lasted 40 to 50 years, but grandma never looked happy? Y'all think that's because marriage was better back then? Nah, it's because back then leaving a man wasn't an option. Women didn't stay because they wanted to. They stayed because they were trapped. Couldn't open a bank account, couldn't buy a credit card, couldn't get a house, couldn't leave without being blackballed by the church, family, or society.
Now, some of the things that he's saying is true. Like the woman's ability to open up a bank account without being signed by a man, signed by a husband is something that's only like 50 years old. I believe it was like 1974 when that became a thing. And it's actually crazy to think that that was only 50 years ago, though. But here's the thing. When the culture was structured so much in favor of men, and I'm not here to argue that there's not degrees of a patriarchy that more so existed 50 to 60 to 70 years ago, then the marriage laws as they exist today actually make a lot more goddamn sense. Because being up under the provisioning or the protection of a man, the man needs to have some degree and level of risk, especially if she's not out into the workplace doing her damn thing. She's not earning any additional skill sets. And if they were to divorce, it leaves her with no way of making additional income. She's been out of the workforce maybe her entire life. So she's left destitute, right? Like, it made a lot more sense when patriarchy was more of a thing or just was a thing in general. Nowadays, there is no patriarchy. It's a complete gynocracy. It is touted equality or equity from the damn mountaintops. There are more women that are getting degrees. Men still make, it's a little bit more money on average, but there's more women with more levels of education than men ever had. They're independent as hell, but still men are getting shafted within the family court system because of archaic laws that existed when a patriarchy was more relevant within the United States. The laws ain't changed. The culture has, time has, and now men are waking up to the idea of the bullshit of what could be waiting for them if they were to get divorced and they didn't get a prenup, therefore having the government sign their damn prenuptial agreement and then them getting shafted. So men today are just making much more of a rational decision because although they tout equality, you take a look at the family court system and you see anything but.
And let's talk about these so-called good men y'all love to bring up. The ones who took care of the household. The ones who paid the bills. You mean the same men who had entire secret families, the same men who left their wives at home while they ran the street?
No, you're just adding that. No, the good men, not the men that you are then adding into the same man, the good man? No, the same man that was over here banging every neighbor that he came in contact. No, not those. No, those are not actually the same men. He's doing that preacher shit, right? And he talks so fast that he gets to a next point of bullshit before you had time to really think about and assess the last sentence of bullshit. That's why I thought it was necessary to play the bullshit at first and then slow it down and talk shit on it later. But let's keep going.
The same men who made sure their name was on every single asset. So if she left with nothing. That's what y'all want a woman to go back to? Y'all keep screaming about modern women who don't submit like that's the problem. No, the real issue is that modern women finally have the power to say no. And that scares y'all to death. Y'all don't want wives. Y'all want hostages. Y'all don't want love. Y'all want an audience. Y'all don't want partners. Y'all want prisoners.
We want hostages, we want prisoners, and we want an audience. Yeah, okay, my guy. Meanwhile, the Association of Bitter Women is listening to this shit. Yes! Yeah, that's all that they want. Meanwhile, I'm just like, hey, baby, you know how to cook some damn eggs? Do you know how to truly respect a man? Do you even know what that looks like? Have you ever seen it within your life? How about if I even consider marriage with you, you not even consider divorce? You know that there's some cultures out there where there's no such word for divorce. Once you get married, that is it. Shit, I know a young lady that she said that she got married to her husband because she knew that divorce was an option. This is a black woman, corporate woman, sweetheart, really, if you sit over here and you talk to her. But these women are stepping into this contract that does not favor men with the idea of, I can just break it up at some junction and divorce him. No-fault divorce is a scary thing, but something that all men should consider. But nah, it's cool. There's not no real rational concerns. We just want prisoners. We want to take these women in as prisoners of war. Submit to who? To a man? I'm gonna let a man lead me? What? No, he can't tell me not to show my areolas anymore. No, he can't talk to me about my behavior. No, I am a strong queen simply for existing. He just wants me as a prisoner. Scary.
That's why y'all are panicking now. That's why y'all crying on the internet every day about how women don't need men anymore. Nah, it ain't that women don't need men. It's that they don't need to suffer just to have one. And that's the part y'all can't handle. So let's call it what it really is. Y'all don't miss traditional women. You miss unchecked male privilege. You miss a time when a man could cheat, lie, and abandon their family with zero consequences.
We don't miss shit because we've never lived through it. This guy is acting like this is something that we experience at some point in our lifetime. And then all of a sudden now all the women say, no, we ain't doing this shit no more. And now we're complaining. No, men are taking a look and seeing what is out there. And they're saying, hey, in order for me to get up on bended knee, it would take a uniquely awesome woman. But the women that I am encountering are too ego-driven, lied to by the media at the rate that they are to look in the mirror and fix themselves to be a good product on the dating, on the relationship marketplace today. But I understand to a degree the fog within the information that they receive that never allows them to seek accountability because they meet yo asses up on the goddamn simple verse internet telling them that it's the goddamn man's fault. And how dare them to consider wanting better options. I mean, shit, they just want prisoners anyway. So don't change. Don't get better. Don't seek accountability. Just listen to me and buy my course.
Consequences. You miss where women were forced to stay no matter how bad it got. That's why y'all work overtime to convince women that the past was better. Because y'all know that if grandma had the rights and the resources that women have today, she would have left grandpa's butt too. Before you run to the comments saying women today don't want to be wives, ask yourself, would you want your mother and grandmother to go through the exact same marriage she had all over again?
This question I can't truthfully answer because like everybody in my family inevitably got divorced. But let me ask you a question, my man. Would you want your daughter to be influenced, truly influenced by the image and likeness of a Megan Thee Stallion, a Cardi B, a Glorilla, or a Sexy Red?
Oh, God.
Would you want that to be her influences? Would you want that to be her leaders? A quick scroll up on social media, or shit, let me get more specific. Watching the profiles of the women that go up on Pop the Balloon demonstrates the impact that women like that with those images have had on the culture. Let's proceed.
Would you want your sister to stay with a man who cheats, lies, and disrespects her because she has no other choice? Exactly. Now shut up and sit with that. And ladies, don't let these men trick you into settling for struggle, because they know dang well if grandma had the freedom you have today, she wouldn't have put up with their bull either. And remember, ladies, accept nothing less than queen treatment.
Yeah. The final thing that I'll say about all this is, yes, accept nothing less than queen treatment, but don't expect queen treatment if you don't treat yourself like a queen. See, the difference with my content is that while I go in on bad behavior of modern woman culture today, I also talk to the young men and I tell them that they need to upgrade themselves, that they need to boss up. Shit, I have a whole men's self-development community, 3,300 members strong, where they develop understandings of their masculinity, their mindset, their financial foundation, all of the basics that are making them into strong men going into the future. But that's the difference. If you go up on his brother's page, it's all content speaking towards women about how men ain't this, men ain't that. Yes, honey boo boo, child, shea butter, ocean, goddess, girlfriend. Yes, don't accept no bullshit like that and all that other. It's so not valuable. There's no other way that I can say that. It doesn't bring people closer together. It brings them farther apart. And it continues to feed this I don't need no man culture and he better step up to me because I'm a queen. Listen, baby girl, you are not born a queen. You must earn queen. And you cannot become a queen unless a king makes you one. All right, guys, that's all that I have here today. This video went far longer than what I thought it was going to, but I had some fun here today. Drop me your comments down below. What do you guys think about my comments? What do you think about the original video? Drop it down beneath. Maybe we'll do a live stream. We'll have a whole conversation if we get enough comments. But this one was a fun one. You know, it doesn't feel good to knock a hustle. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't do our world justice to let charlatans continue to lie for the sake of content, propagating their bank accounts while also leaving the world just a little bit more stinky than what they left it. All right, guys, until next time. Peace. Join the men's self-development community. Link down below. All right, y'all.
She belongs to the street.
Girl, don't hold my hand. You a mattress actress on the OnlyFans. Get your money, girl, but damn, how is that your only plan? What you gonna do when you get too old to strip and dance? Get up out your echo chamber screaming period and yes. You a low down dirty woman if you try to get